Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We are focusing in on the cycle of deception and detection that occurs in a relationship with a malignant narcissist or a psychopath, an individual who possesses a grandiosity of charm, yet they're doing this in a malevolent or malicious way. Hence the definition malignant narcissist. Malignant, if you've ever had a health test and they said, we found something that is malignant, that would mean basically disease, disordered, fatal. It would be not healthy. It would be contrary to your best interests. In other words, it would warrant getting rid of, extracting, expulsing from your being, from your body. In other words, it's going to perpetuate repeated harm if it's left in the body, if it's left in the system. And malignant is something that is vindictive or very vengeful. In other words, it's an acting out. So when we talk about a malignant narcissist, we're talking about the presence of a certain grandiosity and a sort of showboaty, scornful disdain for others, yet they're doing this with a positive twist, a positive flair. And it is it's meant to malign you to some very evil or destructive forces, particularly that of deception. And deception means, in essence, it's a bait and switch. It is putting forth something that is camouflage. It's meant to distract you. It's meant to be a decoy. It's meant to derail you. It's meant to have you look over here while they're doing something over here. It's meant to fool you into believing one thing when in essence something else is going on. It's meant to really mess with your psychological warfare as well. Because not only do you have a visual deception, there's an emotional deception that's going on within this sort of relationship. And this can be in the terms of outright lies, outright deception, where they're telling you one thing and they've got a whole different life going on. They have a different feeling underneath going on. They have a different lifestyle. You are just filling in specific gaps. You're just there for a specific ride. You are, but yet they're switching this out and basically stating that, you are the love of their life. They're telling you these sweet nothings, these lies and omissions, and sometimes it can just be in the covert mechanism. They're really deceiving you by omission. So they're not really giving you the full story. They're not giving you the full lowdown. So you're just getting kind of a glimmer or a glimpse of how they feel, but yet what's really going on and where the malevolence occurs is there's this kind of vengeful, hurtful disguise that they are setting forth to you. So in other words, it's really not in your best interest. It's malignant in nature. It's not meant to really serve you, benefit you, be forthright and honest with you. And it's not just like about being the good pansy, the goody two-shoes. It's really about understanding that the lies, deception, and betrayal are meant to be total trickery. And so, they might understate their anger, overstate their anger in this deception. And, it's the issue with the psychopath as well as the malignant narcissist is they have no compunction. And I think it's very important for you to understand this word. A compunction is kind of a holding back. It's holding yourself back from doing something which would be moral, or it would give you one of good scruples. Basically, and this is a feeling that follows when you have done something bad. You feel remorse, you feel regret, you feel compunction, you feel a desire to make it right. And the origin of compunction comes from the Latin com, C-O-M, expressing intensive force, and then pungere, to prick. So it's kind of like a prick. To have compunction means with force, and basically you feel kind of if you've ever felt like an electric fence or a, what do you call one of those fences that have an electrical fence, or what is that kind of fence that has like a prick coming out of it? Why am I at a loss for words right now? It's a pricker fence. I know that there's another word for it right now, but sometimes they have an electrical shock going through it at the same time. And I'm like really wanting to know what this word is. It's like you might see it in cow pastures where like the animal will go up against it and then it'll prick them or it'll shock them, and so they won't go past it. And some people have like a tattoo of that. The word is escaping me right now. But that is basically, that's the feeling. When you know you should not do something, you have compunction. You have this force within you that stops you and doesn't go there. I'm done. You feel this remorse. You feel this regret. You feel this kind of force within you that's telling you no, that's telling you stop. Don't go there. You're not welcome. That's not wanted. There's danger over there. That is the feeling of remorse and sort of a regret and knowing that you've done something wrong. You've crossed the bounds, and it hasn't been, now you're in like a very dangerous place. You're entrapped and you have to go through a lot of pain to get to the other side of it. You have to really endure that, face that remorse, face that regret. It's almost like if you were in a safe place and then that electric fence was there and you basically, overrided that. You were so deluded, you were so seduced by this narcissist that you basically endured, you went against your own values, you went against your own principles, and then you basically you went through this fence within yourself, that boundary you crossed. You diluted your sort of natural electric impulses, and you, even though you felt the pain, you did it anyway, and then you now are in this other side of this field where, there's a lot of danger lurking, there's a lot of obstacles, there's a lot of malignant and negative energy, which is coming at you. It's kind of like a bull with horns. Next thing you're being chased around and you're being stalked by this malignant narcissist, this psychopath individual. And they're basically your fight or flight. It's just as if you're being chased after by a bull. And I guess I'm just going with this analogy here just to equate a feeling, because I sometimes, feel that stories are able to share, or like you understand what's going on a little bit more, because it's very difficult to articulate. But, so in essence, you feel this fight or flight. You feel like you're trying to get out, yet, you've got another pricker fence, whatever this thing is called, this electric fence that you run into, and you have to face that. You have to go through that prickly pain. You have to go through that bed of nails. You have to go through that personality change in realizing within yourself, I had, committed a wrong, and I'm going to now feel the regret and remorse and basically cleanse myself of that and really face that. That is, how you face these unresolved feelings of anger, unresolved guilt, unresolved obligation. You've, basically found yourself in a territory where you're basically, in a fight or flight. You have to deal with the obstacles. You have to, you're going to go through some wounds if you stay over there. And the wounds are basically going to take you to the point where you're completely debilitated and because then you have multiple wounds and it becomes very difficult to heal when all you feel basically is this scathing pain from, stumbling over these large emotional boulders, which are basically thrust in your way by a malignant narcissist who is looking to deceive you. In other words, you then flip things around in your mind because what they've projected, this is just a hurdle to the relationship. This is just an obstacle. And if you love me, if you wanted me, you would tolerate this, you would overcome this. But what you don't realize, it's not a hurdle to your advancement and towards a better life. It's basically an obstacle meant to wound you and get you down. It's kind of like if you've ever run and tripped over a boulder, it was just, you didn't realize it was there. It was camouflaged. It was, amongst the tall grass. And, you're now, in the tall grass and, basically you've got this sort of feeling that you've got to get out of this pasture. You've got to get out of this area. And a lot of people don't have the tools. They don't have the clear perception. They don't have the guidance or the roadmap to know, or even the conviction that that this is not where you want to be with this individual. You're now in this whole sort of dangerous and despicable environment. And this compunction that most people feel is something you have to really work through when it comes to healing from a malignant narcissist or psychopathic relationship. You have to do that detective work. Not only do you have to really get keen and detect what they are doing, but you also have to become an inner detective. And you have to realize that a lot of this situations that you find yourself in with them, where you're deluding yourself as a counterforce to their deception, it's like the force is met with a counterforce. Their deception is met with more delusion. So if you have found yourself now in this really deluded state and it's becoming very scary, these intrusive thoughts, and you're now, flipping that invalidation, and you're beginning to believe that, and, your purpose is kind of leaving you, realize that it's very important to do this inner detective work. Realize that this is what you are dealing with. Someone who does not feel that they have done anything wrong. They are just going to walk away with a kitty, which basically is what is your, inner goodness. They're going to walk away with having taken that very personal, private, and really the best part of you, which is your love, affection, your kindness, your consideration. You have been there for them. You have laid your life on the line for them. You have put down everything. You've dropped down everything as a sacrifice for them, but it hasn't been worth it for you. It's not going to be worth it. So you need to pull back. You need to basically pull back and draw those strings back in, draw the reins on the relationship, and really sort of scour your own inner landscape of the regret that you need to face, and basically forgive yourself for having fallen prey and really deluded yourself into this state of being, in the state of seduction, which is all about being a source of supply to an individual, a malignant narcissist, a psychopath who just wants to feed on you, who basically just sees you as an object with which they are going to swoop up and take all the nourishment, take all the goodness out of you until it's depleted, and leave you for prey. Basically leave you feeling wasted, or really even a lot of people feel in a wasted life. That's how deep the psychological rewiring can occur from these people. But your life is not wasted. You need to put your two and two together, and you need to really rehumanize yourself and rehabituate yourself to getting more heart-centered again, really getting back to your senses, the things that are comforting, pleasing, bringing joy and love and light to you, versus all the darkness and the lack of humanity that pervades these people's spirit, or lack of spirit. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.